Hey folks, it is Kate Johnson. Glad y'all are here. I am here this afternoon with Mark Goldman, and I hope we're streaming live. If you can hear me, give me a chime in. And if you chime in, we're giving a book giveaway anyway. So and the way to try to win is to get there we go. It does say I'm streaming. Is to leave a comment on the page. So, all right, everyone. Yes, it's Kate Johnson, and we get to interview Mark Goldman today. He is a longtime accountant, but also has a different career path where he has spent a lot of time focusing on building a training company and a recruiting company. We're mostly going to talk about his training company today, but he has extensive experience just in the overall sort of accounting career landscape, and you're always able to ask him questions about that too. And today, unfortunately, I didn't get the hard copies in the mail because the post office is on the fritz, I guess, but we're going to get to give away one of his books, 49 Tips for a Successful Accounting Career, to anyone who to win that, and you'll win a copy of my ebook, the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Guidebook, if you just leave a comment. That's all you have to do. If you want to leave a meaningful comment, like a question, I'll make sure to ask Mark your questions as well. But leave a comment, ask a question, and you'll have a chance for a book. Now, Mark, thank you for being here with us today from all the way down in Texas, near where I'm originally from. Could you just start off by telling us just the general coolness about yourself, kind of what it is, what you do, and then we'll get into the details about how you help people like us in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group learn what we need to do to learn how to do our business.
Sure. No, thank you. I'm excited to be here. I've been on a lot of Zoom calls recently, but not much, streaming live to Facebook. So this is really fun. Thank you very much. I am a CPA. My dad was a CPA. I sort of got into it because I was cheap labor for my dad, but then very quickly I got into the employment space and became a recruiter. I fast forward about 20 years because I've been doing that a long time, and I decided to start training people, and basically the idea was that I didn't want to just, help people with the experience they had get the job they want. I wanted to help them increase that experience as well. So about 2 years ago, we started teaching live classes. We have 950 square feet of classroom space in a building, which now is empty because everything's online.
Right.
But yeah, we started teaching some unique classes, and that launched me into the training space. And now I get to talk to cool people like you, Kate.
Well, I was going to say we probably wouldn't be talking if you were just training out of your 950 square foot classroom. So you've had to learn a lot and flex and deliver your knowledge in a different way. I'm sure that's been a good but trying, but hopefully, this could take your business in a completely different direction, even once the pandemic is over, potentially. Still live courses, because there's probably a demand for that. That's what I'm particularly interested in talking with you about, because I think it's a unique flavor that you have that people who are like me, who like school, might really resonate with an accounting school like yours. But yeah, we wouldn't be talking if you were only offering classes in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So so you offer some courses for people who want to go into accounting. I know that I have looked at your course offering list in the past, and you have a lot of different courses. One of the ones I'm most interested in, because a lot of people are coming to the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group wanting a career change, or maybe they have a MBA or a business degree, so they kind of have a little bit of knowledge from accounting. Maybe they were required to take 2 classes 15 years ago. But I know you have a course called Debits, Credits, and the General Ledger, and I want to talk about more of your courses. But if you could talk a little bit about that course in particular, and what makes it a good course for someone who is, wanting a career change and wanting to get into accounting, either who has no background or who needs to brush up on some skills from long ago?
Sure. And yeah, just to be clear, if the person already has an MBA in finance or accounting, that they would probably be past this class at that point.
Okay. All right.
This course is built for individuals that have some bookkeeping experience in terms of maybe they pay the bills for a business, or they track receivables, or maybe they've done a little payroll, or maybe they've just done administrative tasks in the office. So very, very light. And they want to increase their knowledge of how all that comes together in the general ledger, so that they understand the financial statements. We get into, whether items should be capitalized or expensed. We teach old school a little bit. We actually draw T accounts.
Yes,
on the
thank
board
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I have something to show. Keep talking. So you mean you would teach people accounting where it looks kind of like this, like equation at the top?
Yes.
Plus liabilities plus equity, and the T account. Sorry, it's blurring, but yes, you have to know accounting basics to be well, for sure, if you're going to be a solo entrepreneur bookkeeper, because I mean, yes, you can some bookkeepers maybe just do accounts payable or something for a company, but if you want to be serving clients where they're expecting you to like kind of be an expert and be one of their trusted advisors, you have to understand the basic accounting. So good. So you teach old school, and that's why I brought you on. Like you're like, it's like you're the professor that I had when I was at Baylor many years ago. That's what I imagine. It's kind of like that mentality, starting with the classroom accounting day one.
Thank you. And what makes us different too is we're a classroom that now we've transitioned online. So this is not pre-recorded. You get on with a live instructor. And by the way, I am not that instructor. I have a team of individuals that teach. The individual that teaches our debits and credits class is a CPA. He's worked in private companies. He's worked in public accounting firms, and now he has his own accounting practice as well. He's our instructor. Gentleman's named Jonathan, and so it's not something that's been pre-recorded. It is, you're live with the instructor. He's teaching. You have a question, he answers it.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
We tailor it to the class, some, depending on what the level of that particular class is, we, can go faster, slower, just depending on what the questions are. So it's not a one size fits all. We really do give you the classroom experience. It's just nowadays it's online.
So, and I know you have a course coming up in about 2 weeks. How often do you tell us, if you know them off the top of your head, tell us the dates of the course that's coming up, but then how often do you offer this basic accounting course throughout the year? What are your plans now that you are doing it live? Are you going to try to change? Do you limit the enrollment, stuff like, how do we get signed up?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, our next debits and credits class, and there are a couple others I'd like to highlight as well, but our next debits and class is coming up on September 16th. It's a 2-session course because we realize people get Zoom fatigue a little bit. And so it is a 4-hour class, but we split it in 2-hour sessions. So it'll be the 16th and the 18th. And that's a class we offer quarterly. So I would recommend, if it's something you're interested in, to go ahead and make a decision soon. We will 100% for sure offer it again, but frankly, it's probably not going to be till January timeframe because the holidays are a slower period. So now is the time to jump on that. And we do have that discount code just for your audience there, Kate 10.
That's right. That's right. So you can get 10% off of his course. And is there homework? Do they leave with any materials that they've been printed off, or do they get materials mailed ahead of time, or is it just them in their own notepad? How do they work? Do they work practice problems? Anything like that?
There are a few worksheets that the instructor uses. There's nothing that's mailed out in advance. But one of the reasons also, in addition to Zoom fatigue, that we broke it up into 2 sessions is we figure that after the first session, people are going to think of questions, and we want them to be able to come back to the instructor after they've had a little time to think about it in their own scenario, and then ask, more appropriate questions. So they're not, just on the spot. If you don't think of it immediately, you can't ask it. So that's another reason we break it up in 2 days.
That's great. I think if any, those of y'all who are listening, if you like that more traditional environment, give us a thumbs up or say that sounds like something I'm interested in. But that's what I think, Mark, you is an interesting thing that you bring. It's not a full comprehensive course. You're not going to learn everything you need to know to start a whole bookkeeping business, y'all. But if you have the long view and you know that this is all learnable, it takes time to learn it, and you want to go through and start with the basics of learning accounting fundamentals, and then you'll learn a bookkeeping software. After that, you'll shoot. I mean, even 2 days with this particular course, maybe that would just be the best money you ever spent, because you'll know, oh my gosh, I hate this and I never want to see this again. Because if you don't know that chart, if you're not willing to think about those T accounts every once in a while, because every once in a while you're going to hit a situation when you're serving your clients that is, it's not just categorizing transactions from the bank feed anymore. It is like, whoa, I got to really think about this. Where do I put this? I need this to flow from balance sheet and then to the income statement at the end of the year, or something like that, or I have to make a journal entry. Those, you have to know how accounting works to do that. And so, yeah, you could end up taking this course and say, whoa, I don't like accounting at all, and then go find something else to do. Find a different side hustle. Find a different career that you're going to love. But well, so tell us a little bit more about the other courses that you offer. If you've got any other plans for anything. I mean, I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel, so people might listen to it 6 years from now. I mean, sorry, 6 months from now, maybe 6 years. Shoot. No, do you have any courses you're dreaming of that people could give you feedback on, or do you just you can just tell us what you do offer?
Okay, yeah, it sort of falls in 2 areas. First of all, our staples. We have an Excel series that's actually about to start here soon. We used to do, I think it was we used to do a 4-hour Excel class, but then when we moved it online, we were able to expand it and break it up. So now we have 4 2-hour sessions on specific topics like pivot tables, charts, conditional formatting, Power Query. We cover a whole lot of specific areas of Excel. And then also QuickBooks Online. We do have a QuickBooks Online class. Now, I will say, that's more for someone that's never used QuickBooks Online before. Maybe they've used other software and they're getting into, maybe they worked at a bigger company and they're getting into the small business space. Okay. Then that would be appropriate. So those are our staples. Something that's very unique that we developed. We teach an individual tax boot camp, which is going on right now. Sadly, we're past the point to get into that. However, I'm really excited that we just have announced a partnership tax boot camp. So I think this hits maybe some of your other audience members. So those that have worked in bookkeeping or accounting, maybe they've done a little individual tax prep, but they haven't got into business returns. Okay. This is going to be 3 sessions, 3 hours each, on partnership tax returns. Okay. It's coming up in November. Honestly, I like to think it's a convenient time. It's 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday evenings. And the idea is we don't want to get in the way of the daytime gig. We want you to be able to do your regular job and then learn a little later. It is instructor led by a tax manager level CPA. This is a brand new class for us. It literally just went up on our website last week. Since you and I had even scheduled this. So cool. I'm excited.
Well, that 6 to 9 time frame, to me, that sounds like almost like a community college class that I think I had classes back in the day that met once a week from 6 to 9. And that's a way to learn. And that's a way you have to grind. Like, a lot of people have day jobs. A lot of people are maybe virtual schooling their kids. And if you're not willing to put in the work and to have the pain of, yes, you don't want to do class from 6 to 9. No one does. But in 10 years, are you going to be glad you are whenever you have a successful business, that's flexible and that you can control your hours, and maybe you're a tax person and you go crazy in the spring but take the fall off. Maybe you just serve your own bookkeeping clients. There's lots of ways to do it, but yes, the pain of a Monday night class is all part, there's going to be pain. It's just a matter of how do you want the pain. And
yes.
that's a great way to learn. I mean, I think the instructor-led thing, I don't know, I'm like, I would have been great being a professional student. It's too expensive to do that, but school is my jam, like ever since kindergarten. I didn't cry on the first day, and I've been excited every day since that I had school. And I just feel like, I don't know, something about you makes me think people who like a traditional school environment would really potentially be a good fit for the programs that you offer. I always say that accounting is it's not rocket science. It's an old discipline that's been around for a long time, and you can learn it a lot of different ways. And so I think people get hung up on like, who am I going to get to teach me? And I like whoever's material you relate well to, just pick that person and then just do whatever they say. Learn everything from them, because they're not going to teach you some like magic sauce that no one else has. It's who you're going to do the work for, who you're going to be willing to sit up at 6 to 9 p.m. on a Monday and listen to and trust. So cool. And I know you said you're not the exact teacher, but I mean, you're just, you could be someone could learn, if they took all your courses, they would have a nice foundation and a relationship with you. And I'm sure you email your students, and people who return are probably like your favorite kind of, customer. Your students are your customers, and they're going to come up with ways to help them throughout their journey, I'm certain. And you have so much content out there. Like, is Mark your guy, folks? If Mark's your guy, buy his classes. Okay, I'm looking at my list here. Reminder, if you're listening, if you want your name in the drawing for Mark's book called 49 Tips for a Successful Accounting Career, or my bookkeeping side hustle guidebook, comment on the video. And Mark, sorry, I don't know why yours printed smaller. I just hit print. I'm embarrassed. I also was running out of time.
I was wondering.
I opened the JPEG and I hit print, and sorry, I didn't have time to reprint.
Okay.
All right, I'm looking at my questions here. We've talked about how your course is unique. What sort of student is most successful in your course? And conversely, are there any students that you found that are not good fit for how your education firm works and operates? Who are you for? Who are you not for?
Sure. I think, as with any class, the student needs to come prepared to learn and really, make the most out of the class and not be shy about asking questions. That's a big difference with instructor-led live training, is that instructor is there to help facilitate and to answer questions, versus buying a course you're just going to watch on your own time. So I think, number one, a student that's not shy about asking questions.
Okay.
And then specifically for our company, I am very honest about what level the classes are focused on. So, I know sometimes people will really want to take a class that I'm saying, this is going to be too basic for you, or this is going to be too advanced, So I think just getting, picking the right class. Like I mentioned when we were talking about the debits and credits class, that is a wonderful class for administrative, clerical, and light bookkeeping individuals to up their game. Okay. But if somebody already has a master's degree, then there's other things that would probably be more appropriate.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Am I answering that question?
Yeah. Yes. Do you have a favorite student success story that you can share? You've been doing this a while, right? Teaching classes for how long? 20 years, you said?
Oh, well, no, I've been in recruiting 20 years. No, classes has been about 6 years. We started teaching tax courses, about 6 years. So, You know, probably one of my favorite stories is that, or favorite successes is out of our tax class, actually. We've been doing the individual tax boot camp for a long time. And my idea was that I was going to help people get trained in tax. And then afterwards, they would, be able to get a better job or a higher position at their company, or maybe do more for their clients. And then what was happening is people were only midway through the class, and they were being offered jobs as tax accountants. And so I think what was happening is employers were seeing that, gosh, if this person is willing to invest this much time in themselves, because Monday nights, 6 to 9, I mean, that's an investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they were willing to do that themselves, then they must be sincere about a career in that field. So yeah, we had a number of people that, they had achieved what they wanted to achieve before they were even done with class. So I can't guarantee that, but it's pretty exciting.
So do you find that more of your student body is entrepreneurial in spirit, or employees in spirit? Are they looking for jobs? Because let me preface or give a little more about background. There's a lot of people in this Facebook group, and the name is kind of catchy. People are like, what, bookkeeping side hustle? And then some people, like, they're kind of bristle, like, what, this, no, accounting's for serious. And but it's like, newsflash, like, you can do accounting with everything in the cloud. Like, if you wanted to have a successful firm and work only Mondays and Tuesdays, you could do that. But I think the entrepreneur versus job seeker divide is something that gets a little blurred. And there's some people who, if we need to find more ways for people to figure out really what they are. I mean, you have your own company, so you are an entrepreneur, and you know the ups and downs, and it's a different way of feeding your family and making money than going and getting a job. So I try to, as much as possible, have people, like, really assess yourself, like, because there's ways to do this kind of work as an employee or as an entrepreneur. So just in general, are the people who take your courses more of the employee mindset, looking for jobs, the job seekers, or people who want to start their own business?
It's probably honestly split in thirds. It's probably a third who their employer has supported them in increasing their skill level. A third who are working somewhere and they are wanting to up their game, whether it's going to be there or somewhere else. And then a third that, they are thinking about some entrepreneurial endeavor, particularly in our tax area. We've had several people take those classes because they say, I want to go open my own thing here soon, and I know I'm going to need to know more. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know very, very little about tax, so every time I think of it, it sounds scary and terrible. But I should probably, just because I don't know. It's probably because there's probably, like, I think people can create bookkeeping businesses that are really terrible too, like, terrible in spirit, sort of. And there's probably ways to do a tax business that is not soul crushing. And I just haven't I haven't dove in and investigated yet, but that would be the goal. If you're going to do taxes, like, make sure you do it, you build the business the right way, I suppose. All right. If anyone has questions for Mark, please chime in. Again, he's got a course coming up in 2 weeks called Debits, Credits, and the General Ledger, which would be a very basic accounting kind of day one, accounting 101, start you off in the right direction course for people who are want to accounting fundamentals. And we've talked a little bit about his Excel courses and his advanced tax courses as well. So ask about those. I also wanted to let people know, he mentioned he was in recruiting, the recruiting industry. So he's helping people, companies hire talent. So if you have any career questions, feel free to chime in right now too. You can always tag Mark later. I know a lot of people watch these videos after the fact, so be sure to tag Mark Goldman about his courses or about career advice. But I I guess I will ask you some career questions right now. What, for people who want to look for a job, I guess probably even especially in this virtual COVID world that we're in, what tips do you have for that person who, you know, for whatever reason they're either out of a job or they aren't happy with the job that they have, and they think they would love a job in the, you know, broader accounting world, whether it's bookkeeping or tax or whatever. What's the first step that you would recommend? There's lots of people who chime in and say, I'm brand new, I think I would like this. How does that person even get started?
Are we talking about individuals? Because I know I've seen, I'm a lurker in your Facebook group. So I know I've seen some from individuals that don't have any bookkeeping or accounting background. Is that what we're talking about? Someone from another field that's thinking about this?
I suppose so. I think or maybe if you can, like someone who start with, I would love to just hear your advice for someone, for that person who really is new. I want to help them. I think they've got a long road, and I try to make that very clear that I don't think you should, if you don't know what assets equals liabilities plus equity means, you got a long way to go before you're going to start making money as a virtual bookkeeper. And I want people to know that and take that very seriously. But I also want them to feel at home and that they can do this if they've got the long view and are willing to study. So how would you advise that person on beginning an accounting career? I mean, maybe they're going to do this for 20 years. What do they need to do to be valuable to an employer? And then also that person who maybe is working at a bigger firm, maybe they worked for a while and took some time off with their kids and they're trying to get back in it. So both of those people, what do you have to say? You've seen all sorts of crashes and burns and success stories in the accounting career field.
Sure. You know, and this is going to sound self-serving, but seriously, I really do think starting with some education is highly important because two reasons. First of all, you do need to understand the basics in bookkeeping or accounting, you know, to get started. Otherwise, you're going to do a bad job for someone.
You will.
And that's going to be painful for you as well, you know, and that's not good. But secondly, I know people sometimes are concerned about making the investment in education, but a little investment in education that, you know, let's say you make a small investment in education and you realize you don't like accounting or you don't like bookkeeping and this really isn't for you, that'll be the best money you ever spent because what you've done is you've invested a tiny bit of money so that you didn't have to invest many years of your life doing something or trying to do something that you don't enjoy. So it's interesting. You know, going back to some of our classes, we've had people take various classes, including the tax ones, and decide that, wow, they did, you know, they hadn't done it before and they really don't want to. That's not what they wanted to get into. And I think some of that's the best time ever spent because it's a whole lot better to spend 6 or 9 hours, you know, and a couple $100 rather than, you know, 6 years of your life or something like that, doing something you don't enjoy. So I think education on the front end is really important. And then, you know, actually, I think now, seriously, right now, where we are in the economy, it is a great time to develop a bookkeeping side hustle or part-time work in the bookkeeping field. I'm seeing a whole lot more employers ask for part-time help in accounting. And so it seems more plentiful than it used to be. And I think that's because people are watching their expenses. Businesses and small businesses in particular are watching their expenses. And in the past, they may have said, oh, I need a bookkeeper. I'm going to go hire somebody full time. And now they're saying, I need a bookkeeper and I need help, but I don't know about the expense of it. Maybe a part-time person will work. And so that, and plus the whole remote situation now is a whole lot more favorable. So there's more opportunities out there.
So in that particular instance, are you talking about you're seeing small businesses trying to find part-time bookkeepers or accounting like firms trying to find part-time help? Because that's two different ways to approach it, right? Like You can go to work for someone, a CPA who's got a big firm, or you can just go to work for that small business who's got 5 employees and one of them, needs to do the books. What were you meaning exactly? Where were you seeing those jobs? The small business side or the accounting firm side? Or the bookkeeping firm side?
The small business side.
Okay.
The small business side. Yeah. Yeah. Accounting firms definitely use, go ahead.
Well, you finish.
I was going to say accounting firms definitely use bookkeeping help. And it's been strong in past years, but we're seeing an increase in the small businesses themselves, going after additional part-time bookkeeping help.
So what advice do you, that's from my perspective, that's the, I want to know the list of the people that you're hearing make those ads. Like, that's who I'm going after. So what advice do you have for people who are seeing businesses who are looking for a part-time bookkeeper? Are they looking for an employee? But how does someone like me, who I don't want to be on someone's payroll, how do I flip that and say, I don't want to come in and work 5 hours a day for 5 days a week as in a part-time capacity. I want to still serve you, but I know how to do it from my own business. How would we get that business to consider hiring a firm rather than hiring a part-time employee? And firm, I mean like solo gig.
Sure. Heritage Business Services.
Heritage Business Services. Thank you. Yes, my company.
There we go. Yes. I think when you're getting started out, the key is people select accounting help or bookkeeping help when they trust them. So, they have to trust you can do the job, but then they just have to trust you, as a person as well.
Okay.
And so I think, and since when you're starting out, you don't have any references, to use, you don't have any proof per se, you have to go to that inner circle of individuals, and find someone to give you a chance, find a small business owner that needs help, ask them how you can help them, and then study up as fast as you can. And once you have a one or two of those, well, then it's a whole lot easier to get other ones. And also the benefit of starting with individuals, is that, let's say you do make a mistake. Okay. You're going to get a whole lot more benefit of the doubt from someone that likes you and trusts you in the first place, than a stranger. So, it's working a network just like anything else.
I am reading John Garrett's book about what's your and, which I think you've been on his show. And I just read a page last night that talks about how the difficult conversations, like employees are going to mess up. People, whether they're a freelancer, like a freelancer type of person that's serving your company, or a payroll person, those people are going to let you down. We've all done that. I mean, you've made mistakes, and the conversations about correcting that, you have to address it. You can't just pretend like a mistake didn't happen. But when you like and trust that person, and he's talking about, we like and trust the people who we know more about and care about, and when I don't think of you as just a cold-hearted accountant, and you have other interests, I'm more likely to those conversations go better. So that's really interesting that you say that about when someone makes a mistake too, it's easier to kind of correct it and not have it be a complete explosion. But hey, let's move on, but let's also not let this happen again. So anyway, I just read that part in his book. All right, I got a question from Kristen Sheeks here, kind of poking at what you're saying right here. She says, wouldn't it depend on what the business owner is looking for? If they need employees, they'll hire employees. If they want a freelancer, they'll look for a freelancer. I guess my thought is, I think some business owners think they need to hire a bookkeeper, but they don't really need to hire a bookkeeper. I can do what that person they think they're supposed to hire and have come in every day. I can do probably with all the cloud technology, I can still serve them. So how would you answer, Christian, though? If the business says I need an employee, how do we tell them, well, no, you don't. I can do everything. I will still get all those tasks done, but in my own company. Can we
No,
flip
that's a
them?
great point. Yeah, no, yes, you can. But see, this is where it gets difficult sometimes for bookkeepers and accounting people is, if you're going to be self-employed, you have to develop some sales skills. So This is where, this is where selling the benefits of what you can provide versus a full-time employee or an employee in-house, so what may those be? Well, as you get a little bigger, you may have a team that could support you or something like that, but also, to some extent, you're not just available 8 to 5, necessarily. You may be, have more availability, greater availability outside of a typical employee. Also, you're probably overall going to be more reasonable in terms of total investment, because a full-time employee, there are places where a full-time employee is appropriate, but then you have a full-time salary, and then that opens you up, of course, to any benefits. And there's a lot of legalities around having a full-time employee, whereas a contractor relationship is pretty darn simple. You do work, you get paid for that work, period.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot extra to it. So I agree with her, and yes, it does take some convincing, but that's where you need to bullet point out sort of your elevator pitch on why you have a solution that will work.
All right, Kristen, if you're still listening and you want to chime back in and keep asking, keep the conversation going, that's fine. I don't know if you've had success, like some people look at Craigslist for ads that or Indeed, and they're seeing people like having like a part-time job description, and they'll target those businesses and say, I don't want to be your employee, but I can do all those things on that job description, all those things that you're needing done, and here's how I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to come in every day, but you'll be pleased, and I'm cheaper than what you would have paid that full-time. Once you all in costs, we can both win. I can still get paid a good wage for my flexibility, and I'm not having to go into the commute and all that kind of stuff. And you can, still get your needs met as the business owner. All right. Well, Mark, so again, comment on to get your name in the hat for Mark's book, 49 Tips for a Successful Accounting Career. And I'll toss in my ebook too, the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Guidebook. So we're close to wrapping up. If there are no more questions for Mark, Mark, tell me how much, we're going back to your course now. We've kind of talked about some of the career advice. How much I know you have lots of courses. What's the general cost of the general debits, credits, and general ledger course?
That is $175 for 4 hours.
Okay.
The 4-hour class. Yep.
That's the main one. And y'all all can, I'll link to his full course offerings, and the prices will be listed there. He's got a nice shopping cart, and it tells what the dates are. Again, remember, these are live courses, so that's not going to work for everybody. But for those of you who it does work for, like, that's the beauty of capitalism. Like, there's lots of different ways to learn, and this instructor-led classroom way, even though it's virtual, is one way to do it. And now, Mark, tell us how people can find out more about you.
Sure. The easiest way online is on our website, of course, and it's I have to spell it out. It's mgrar.com.
All right, I'm going to type it out here in the comments right now.
.com.
MG.
Okay. It's mgrar.com.
Okay, and I'll keep posting that link.
Thank you. And I also, since I have the podcast as well, I'm very approachable and very findable on LinkedIn. Just type in Mark Goldman CPA, and I respond to all the LinkedIn traffic. That's a major part of what we do. So
okay,
happy to help anybody with their career and that kind of thing also.
Yeah, he mentioned the podcast. No big deal. He's got a long podcast. It's lots of people, peter out when they start a podcast, but he has been going strong and has lots of episodes. It's called Where Accountants Go. Is that right?
Yes.
It's listed on my website as one of my suggested podcasts that we listen to. And it's kind of like little miniature biographies. You interview someone in some type of an accounting job, right, Mark?
Yes, everybody started in accounting in some form or another, and some of them do quite different things now, but the accounting helped them to get there, and most of them are in some type of accounting job. But yeah, we're about to record episode 200. It's
Wow.
hard to believe, but you mentioned John Garrett. He was on my show a while back, and he was kind enough to have me on his as well. But yeah, we've had just some incredible guests. I'm very blessed. We started in October 2016, so we're about to celebrate 4 years.
Congrats.
Just crazy, crazy. Thank you.
Y'all might wonder, like, why should you listen to, random accounting biographies? But I think, I'm not saying Marks is a podcast you have to listen to all the episodes of, but for people who are trying to like get back in the professional game, who are trying to say, I want to talk like a business person, and I want to use the modern words that all business people are talking about and that accountants use. Just listening to stuff like Mark's podcast, I found, especially early on, I just felt better about talking to other business owners about accounting. I didn't have that skill. I was talking about play dates and diapers and like stuff that was, and I needed to get back into this. This is what professional people sound like. This is what professional people talk like. These are the ways that, and I don't know, I can't say specifically that listening to Mark's interviews like helped me decide the direction to take my firm. But it does just kind of open the door for you to say, oh, like there's lots of ways that you can do this, or that person's job sounds really interesting. And if you want to do it in a side hustle way, maybe you have to get creative. Like, how can I do forensic accounting as a side hustle? Like, no one's stopping you. It's a free world. Like, you can go figure that out. And I don't have the answer for you, but that's just why I think podcasts like Mark, it just kind of like gets, I don't know, it just gets in my brain and makes me more confident somehow by listening to other people talk. So that's why you should listen to Mark's podcast.
If you don't mind me highlighting a couple, because particularly
Sure.
for your audience, there's a lady named Mariette Martinez. Actually, she's out in California, but she developed a bookkeeping and business coaching practice. It's more focused on zero, which is sort of interesting, but she's got a very successful practice. That would be a good one to look up.
Okay.
And then we do have several individuals that eventually, started their own small accounting firms, some CPAs and some not as well. And then for the subset of your audience that is thinking they would like to someday become a CPA, we have some really good content on individuals that have passed the CPA exam. What I did is I interviewed a group of people because that is difficult, but it's very rewarding. I've interviewed a couple of groups of people on what they did to pass the exam, and there's some really good tips in there as well.
Do you have any information on the EA path? Because I know one of the CPA problems is that you have to have so many college hours, but that an EA is a really great credential that you can, if you don't hit all those formal college class wickets, you can still pass. Am I right about that? And do you interview any EAs?
Yeah, we've only had a few EAs, and actually Mariette Martinez is one of them. She's one
Okay.
of the EAs that we interviewed. And I totally agree with you. Actually, if you are developing a bookkeeping practice, having an EA designation is very powerful. If going the formal college route and certification route isn't something that is in the cards for you, thank you for bringing that up. I would like to have, frankly, more EAs on the show. I haven't been able to find enough that we're willing, but yeah, that's something we need to look into.
Ding, ding, ding. Any EAs out there, call Mark. Find him on LinkedIn, introduce
That's right.
yourself. Because, cheer your path, y'all. It is a hard test. You have to study hard, but it is a bona fide credential. And life is complex and difficult, and not everyone can go sit for 130-hour college degree in accounting plus the grads. I mean, it's like, I remember in college people were doing that, and it's a lot of classes, and It doesn't mean that
Yes.
you're any less capable than doing even what a CPA does necessarily. So you just have to do the work and do the grind, and it's a great way that you don't have to you have to study just as hard, but you don't have to have the bottom your butt in the seat for those college classes that you might not be able to just pull off. So yeah, call Mark if you're an EA. I'm sorry, Mark, you didn't tell me to do that, but I'm telling everyone to reach out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if anyone has any more no more questions, thank you, Steve, for sharing Mark's podcast link. I really appreciate that. And anyone have anything else? Chime in. Last call. Mark's book, 49 Tips for a Successful Accounting Career. That's what we're all trying to build. And my bookkeeping side hustle guidebook. I'll be doing a drawing later. Mark, this is so cool. You and I have, well, first of all, we're both from South Texas, so that's great. And I feel like you've been lurking in the group for a while since you said you lurk. And I've always liked your chiming in, and I put your podcast on my I bought bookkeepingsidehustle.com, I think last May. And, best podcast for bookkeepers was probably one of my first articles. And yours was, I have a little picture of your icon. Actually, I need to update it. I think I have your old icon, your old podcast icon. You've gotten a new one recently, right? Did you get a new brand?
We did some rebranding, and so we changed that. So hey, because I know we're wrapping up here soon, I just want to say I really admire what you're doing for the bookkeeping world. Every time I log in, or not log in, but hit Facebook on my phone, and all the bookkeeping side hustle notifications come up. You are doing an incredible service for the bookkeeping community, and honestly, I'm a little jealous. I was like, wow, that was a great idea. So
well, thank you. I don't know how the idea happened. It was pretty unplanned, but I'm having a ball. So as long as it's still fun, and then when it's not, I'll just give it to you. All right. So we'll wrap up.